Today we have a story of an entitled grandma that feels like everyone should bow down to her. We'll get into that in a bit, but first, father-in-law. So there is a lot. I grew up with divorced parents. My mother nor my father and his wife were good parents. I have a lot of mommy and daddy issues. With my in-laws, I thought I found parents who cared, but in the long run, they're just the same. They went around to family members telling them I had a miscarriage after they told us that they wouldn't tell anyone. They did, and the family members called us. Just one of the things for that. My father-in-law came to our house one weekend day, and he fixed our bathroom by taking off with the toilet paper holder that he broke and patching it. Holes in the walls, didn't have paint, sanding wasn't good, dust all over, so my husband and I had to fix it. Same weekend, my father-in-law wanted to have dinner with some people that my husband went to school with. Someone asked about our new house and my father-in-law butted in saying, "Yeah, the house is good. If you ever need one, let me know, I'll buy you one." Making it seem like my husband and I didn't buy our own home. I found a kitten a few weeks ago. We already have 2 cats. We called my mother-in-law to ask what we should do, and she helped me talk my husband into taking care of it till we found its owner. I found the owner a few houses later. My father-in-law calls me a few days later saying, "You're not allowed to get another cat." I walked away because I was going to pop off. My husband and I are pregnant with our rainbow baby, and our baby shower is in a few weeks. My father-in-law called saying his whole family was invited to my husband and my new house Friday before the baby shower. Didn't ask, just said everyone was coming. I said no, I can't host, cook, and take care of 20-some people while being pregnant and by myself due to my husband working late that night. My mother-in-law agreed with me. I came up with a solution of them popping by for a walkthrough after they had dinner. My father-in-law was mad. He acts like he owns the house and he can do and say whatever. A few days later, they text in the family group chat saying, "Yeah, so people are staying an extra day after the baby shower so they can see your house." AKA still expecting me and my husband to host. I'm just over the entitlement. I'm a grown butt woman and I haven't even started on my mother-in-law. My husband has been great. He gets it and is working with me to set boundaries and rules, so he sees the issues. I can only imagine how exhausting it must be for OP to be in the position they are and having to bat down these people and set those boundaries. I'm glad for OP's sake their husband is on board and helping with it. Excellent ad 1132 wrote, "Tell Daddy Dearest that they can drive by and see the house because no one is going to be at home. Hopefully he doesn't have a key to the house. Do this every time he thinks he owns the house and can do what he wants. If he does have a key, change the locks now and don't give him a key to the new lock. Also, when he brags about fixing some little thing, right after he finishes making sure everyone knows that while he fixed it, you needed to go back and straighten it out and make it look nice because he was too lazy to do it right. Or just tell everyone that yes, he fixed it, but next time you're going to pay for a professional." Also, hi, I'm Steven, and if you guys enjoy crazy stories of entitled parents, why not hit those like and subscribe buttons down below? That said, our next story is Can't Give It Away. Another free comic book day has passed, and another mommy would not let her kid have a free comic. So I thought I would tell the tales of other times when similar events occurred. This tale begins the way all the others do, with a kid wanting a pack of the evil Pokemon cards. As soon as the girl spotted the cards, the typical mad mommy face appeared and the usual quote was quoted, "You don't need that." Girl said that she wanted them because they were fun. Mommy said, "You keep losing them." So I asked the kid how she loses them. Her response was that she didn't lose them, her mother always threw them out. I believed her, so I asked her why she kept throwing them out, to which she replied that she didn't and her kid was a scatterbrain. I responded that I hear this all the time and that the mother does throw them out. Again, I asked. Now she retorted with the "I don't like them" reason. Then she asked her father to buy her one, but he took one look at his wife and giggled nervously, took the pack out of her hand, and tossed it on my table. So I decided to have a little more fun. I told the mommy that it was her lucky day. It was free comic book day, and the kid could take a free comic from the box on the table. She doesn't need it. Wow, even free you won't relent. I asked the father what he thought. More nervous giggling. "Get a pair, sir." Girl thanked me for trying, and mommy yelled at her for wasting her time. Mommy grabbed her by the arm so she couldn't take a book. Another fine parent said that she wasn't going to waste her money on this crap. I informed her that her kid could take as many of the free books from the display so she didn't have to spend a dime on the kid. Rather than thanking me, she said that was even worse. I basically asked her what, without cursing, that meant. The kid stated that she hated that he liked comics and was always looking for an excuse not to buy them for him, and I took that excuse away. As he was saying this, she walked away and yelled at him to move along. The worst and funniest one I had was when the father and son were selecting a few age-appropriate books. The mommy saw this and pulled the books out of the kid's hand, yelled at the father, "I said no," shredded them and slammed the pieces on the floor. The father looked at her and stated that he said yes and the kid could have them. She went wide-eyed and yelled back for him not to defy her. He walked back to my stand, apologized, and asked if he could have a few more. All the while, she was screaming that he better not do it. Of course, I said yes and recommended that he hold on to them. All the way down this aisle, she tried to grab them. Then about halfway down, he finally had enough and yelled, "What is your problem?" and to knock it off. She didn't. About 15 years ago, I had to close my account with my distributor, and the last time I officially did the giveaway, I counted the number of parents that did this. I usually did this for the month of May, as keeping the books was taking up space. I did 2 markets at that time, one in Pennsylvania and the other in New York. I had 48 parents that would not let the kids have free books. 45 were the mother, 2 of the fathers blamed the mother, and the third was like that guy in the first incident. One of the markets I used to do had a Halloween party every year, so instead of giving away candy, I would give a kid a free book. Most parents did let the kid have them except for one. When I told them the giveaway when the kid did trick or treat, she stated that the kid wanted candy. Kid stated that he wanted a comic. That was better. She told the kid, "No, you want candy." The kid said, "No, I want this." The mother, well, you get the picture. The kid says, "No, you want candy. Every year you steal my candy." Mother got mad and told the kid that now he wasn't getting anything. We both knew that anyway, so he took a freebie and thanked me, and the mother told me I should be giving candy because that's what the kids really want. What's really disappointing here is these comics would be really great for these kids, even if they're the kind of comics that don't have lots of words. How many people have you heard of growing up that do fantastic things in art, in film, in any kind of industry, who was inspired so greatly by comics as a kid? Let alone the fact that if it is one that does have dialogue and writing, getting a kid to read is always a great thing. Unicorn Star 1988 wrote, "I think it's important for kids to read, whether it's fiction or comic books, especially with all these game consoles and screens. People have forgotten to sit down with your kids and read a book together. It helps the kids learn words and grammar and even improves their speech, but some people are as stubborn as mules and stupid as dodos." Our next story is, "My mother tried to stab me because I was talking to my friends after 12 at night." Okay, so I don't even know where to start. This was going to be a pretty long one, but please help me out. I, 16-year-old female, lost my dad when I was 14 due to lung cancer. My father was an amazing dad and he was my best friend. He basically knew everything about me. Some context about my mother: I knew I wasn't her favorite out of my other 2 siblings, 14-year-old female, 19-year-old male, early on in life. She's always favored my brother over me and my sister because he's a guy, and favored my sister over me because she's the younger one. She made me babysit both my maternal uncle's children, now 11-year-old male, 12-year-old male, and 9-year-old male, and do all the household work when I was around 12 too. My father was out of state during those times. She could very well afford more than 2 maids during that time too, but she just didn't. I broke my leg around the same time, but she didn't take me to the doc until I called my dad, crying out of pain, and he sent his employee to take me to his clinic. He flew back the next day and they had a really bad fight. I have a very vivid memory of all of this, but I remember my dad telling her that I'm not a toy she can keep however she wants. Actually, her behavior wasn't as evident before, as I had my dad to make it up. I hope that gives you all some idea about it. My mother has been emotionally abusing me since dad passed away, but the physical abuse started around a week and some days ago. I had my exam the next day. It was well past 12 a.m., and I was on a conference with my friends discussing about that exam only. She doesn't want me having friends. There was one of my guy friends on the line too. I was in the living room when I told everyone I better head to bed. As soon as I opened the door, I saw her standing at the door frame in her nightsuit. She asked me who I was talking to. I said my friends. She said, "No, you were also talking to a guy." I replied, "Yes, it was a conference." She started beating her head with her hands and asked me why I would do this to her. It was like she was having a psychotic episode. I tried to calm her down, but she went inside the kitchen, the living room is attached to the kitchen, and brought a knife. She tried to hold my wrist and use the knife as I was trying to push her away as gently as I could in that moment of panic, so I wouldn't end up hurting her. I held her hand, which had the knife, with mine, and she started pinching it with her other. The pinches were so bad they left bruises. When that wasn't working, she took the knife to my chest as an attempt to reach my throat, but ended up giving me a very bad cut around my ribs. I was only wearing a very thin undershirt. She didn't even stop when it started bleeding. When I saw the blood and finally pushed her away with all of my force, she hit the wall and started crying while holding her knees. I tried to calm her down yet again, but she pushed me away and went upstairs. I went to clean up the blood, and when I came back, my phone wasn't there. She did give me my phone back a week later. She even banned me from going to school or my tuitions. Now, since that day, she gets frustrated so easily and hits me any chance she gets. She did with a belt because I didn't clean up the cupboard. My sister messed it up and I had just come back from my tuitions of 4 hours. She tried to choke me because I told her I'd do the dishes after I completed studying for my tests. So it's pretty bad. I did tell my brother, but he instead asked my mother if she did that. He saw the bruises and a picture of the cut too. And as you may guess, my mother took it out on me for telling him too. I would report her, but she's a good mother to both my siblings, and I don't want my sister to lose both of her parents. Yes, I'm sure she doesn't abuse my sister or brother in any way. My friend who lives on the other side of the country offered to buy me tickets and I could fly to him, but honestly, that would just make it all worse. My father was a well-known investor and has a lot of property, and it is a lot. I can't inherit any of it until I'm 18, obviously. He had a college fund for me too, but I can't access it until I'm 18 either. Legally, I've turned 15 this year. Yeah, they changed my birth year for some school admission thing, so I'll be inheriting any of it 3 years later only. I have plans to study on the other side of the country, and I need her to fund me. I think she's just looking for reasons to make me stay here and torture me. How do I collect the money to go study? Where I live, teenagers don't really do part-time, especially not girls. It's all too tiring, honestly, and I can't deal with all of this anymore. Help me out with anything at this point, please. So I know OP doesn't want to report them because they seem like a good mother to the other siblings and they don't want to take the burden of, I guess, getting their parent taken away from them. But honestly, it's ridiculous to try to put up with that, and I'm afraid that if OP gets old enough and moves out and there's still that younger sibling there, that it eventually will be passed on to them. And realistically, you never know what they might be doing behind closed doors. You don't think somebody that is hyper abusive, honestly tried to end OP, could not possibly be doing something behind closed doors to the other kids? Pokemon Fan 68 wrote, "Why aren't you telling all of this to a relative or friend or anyone you can trust in general? This for sure can't go unnoticed." Our next story is, "This park is for young people, you can't be here." Context: I'm not at a traditional school. I'm autistic and I go to a special needs school with a class of only about 3 people. There's a playground/park near my school that the teachers often take us to for a break if we complete all the work we were meant to do. Today at school, the teachers took me, 16, and my friends who we'll call A, 13, and B, 14, to the park. We had some snacks and drinks, so after we went on the tire swing, we went to a climbing frame that there were almost never kids on, and even if there were, they didn't mind us being there and we moved if we were in their way, and sat and talked while we ate them. A woman who was likely in her 60s walked over to us, and this conversation happened. The woman said, "Excuse me, why are you sitting here and stopping kids from playing?" B, apologizing a lot, said, "We'll move." The woman replies, "Are you guys in school or college?" A says, "We're in school." The woman replies, "Why aren't you at school?" A tells her, "They take us here for breaks." We got up and went to sit on the benches near the park to finish our snacks. It takes a while for me to process things, and by that point I'd fully processed the whole situation. I have past trauma related to similar situations, so I was scared and upset. While A and B tried to comfort me, we decided to go and play on the swings for a bit. After that, we wanted to go on the tire swing again, but the woman was sitting on the bench next to it. The teachers went with us, and despite me being nervous, we played on the tire swing for a bit. I ended up very scared when the woman walked over to us again and started saying something about us not being supposed to be there. B walked over to the woman while A hugged me to try to help me stay calm. The teachers and B told the woman to leave us alone, but she said, "This park is for young people, you can't be here." One of my teachers told her that it didn't say anything about age at the park, and the woman gave up and left. I just love the total lack of self-awareness here. The inability to look around and realize the only person causing issues here is this person walking up to these kids and complaining, like as if it's their job to be the park police. How about you go conjure up some park legislation first, Karen? Over Marionberry 686 wrote, "Sigh. I apologize for my fellow boomers that are freaking clueless and stupid. It's a park. If it's for children, why is she there? It's for anyone." Our next story is scared, need advice on how to break the news of moving in with my boyfriend. Hello everyone, I'm a female 21 Mexican woman from a first-gen immigrant household. I turned 22 in a couple of months, and I've met my boyfriend who's also 21. We had multiple talks about our relationship, how we feel about each other, and that we're serious about one another. We discussed, and I'll be moving in with him in the summer. By that time, it'll be around a year we're together, we'd have more money saved, and it'll be a good time to move before the semester starts again for college. This is my last year. Now, I am very scared telling my parents. I've lived all my life with them. I stayed in state for college, lived 15 minutes away from it, never really made any friends at college, and have never really been to parties, done drugs, drink so much, etc. I am pretty decent at school. I am generally a pretty good daughter in those aspects, but they're quite strict. I understand that this is their house, their rules, but it's overbearing. I feel suffocated and I feel like I haven't learned a single thing in terms of the real world. I want to gain independence, but I'm also scared of their reaction. Not only theirs, but my older sister too. She acts like she's my other parent and also lives at home with us, and has complained I'm always out and never want to spend time with her because she's also like them. My parents think that I shouldn't go on trips with my boyfriend. My dad also expressed that he didn't really want to meet him yet because he's not ready. I'm so worried my parents will want to cut contact or try to convince me to stay, that I don't love them or something, which is not true. I have found not spending 24/7 with them is a lot better for our relationship, and would think it would improve. My boyfriend is also willing to provide and help with the majority of the rent, and even suggested just me moving in, and I wouldn't have to pay rent because he just wants us together and wants to help me get out of that situation. I'm very worried of my parents' and sister's reaction. Financially, I'm also at a hard point because I was cut from my new job, and it's so hard to find a new one, but I know I'd figure it out. I just want to live my own life and be my own person, alongside my boyfriend, and do things independently. I also have a curfew of 10:30 p.m. every night that my sister also is hard on me about. I also rarely hang out with my friends because sometimes if I'm out too much, my family gets upset that it seems like I don't want to be with them, which isn't true. I just like seeing them, and also during that time I had a lot of work and school, and I do my best to divide and balance daily and social time. I just want any advice on if anyone has experienced anything similar. I just want to start this new life with my boyfriend and live my own life too. I feel like it gets a little bit more sketchy if OP can't financially support themselves, if things could go wrong for them, especially if, for whatever reason, the relationship with your boyfriend doesn't work out long term. But realistically, if OP is dead set on moving out, I think OP should move out, and you don't have to cut off your family. And of course, they'll probably say some harsh things to try to reel you back in, but if they really care, they won't actually cut you off. It'll probably be a bunch of empty threats until they accept that this is how it is and you are your own person. Retired Night Shift wrote, "If you can handle the financial aspects independent of your parents, then move in with them. Expect a severe reaction and threats of disowning you. They will eventually adjust and accept your need for independence and don't want to lose you. Maybe keep your new address secret too so they can't show up to try to convince you to move home. You are old enough to move away from your parents. Be strong. Get all your important documents before dropping the news." Our next story is, Grandma feels entitled to everyone bowing down to her because she's the patriarchy of the family. Edit, I mean matriarch of the family, thanks for pointing that out. Great grandma to be exact. I married in, and ever since I heard stories about her from my husband and my in-laws. Everyone, but these are my own. She lives on the property my in-laws own. Her rent is controlled by them. Super cheap, it's an old trailer but well maintained. I say this because her rent barely covers the expenses of the property. They put more money into that trailer than they probably should have, but they did it for her. She doesn't care, she expects it. It's wild. She expected my in-laws, being the landlord, to buy her a chest freezer because they gifted one to us. Our house started being renovated to fix foundation issues and overall maintenance. She wouldn't stop complaining that everyone was getting an upgrade. Her house was getting a few external upgrades, and guess what? They were too loud. They're making such a mess. Her house is so dusty from all the repairs. Like, you wanted them fixed, so what is it? Her microwave broke and she thought someone messed up and smoke was in the trailer. It turns out she blew up her own microwave. She couldn't even acknowledge she put something in it. She wants in-laws to buy her a new one. She would tell anyone how they should buy her one. They didn't, but someone at church got her a used one. She plays this game where instead of asking you, could you take me to the doctor or to lunch, she starts sighing and talks about how she has no ride. She doesn't know how she'll get there, or how she's going home to be shut in all day, so boring. She has a car, she can drive, she has friends she can go out to eat with, but she wants family to do it, because then she gets out of paying. Smart old lady is what she is, so manipulative. Every house got carpet cleaning before we moved in, as any landlord would do before new tenants move in. Boy, she wanted them to do hers because they have to. She's entitled, she's a tenant, she should not have to pay for her carpets to be professionally cleaned. She'd been living there for 10 plus years, never complained until she saw the other places being cleaned. No one likes to spend time with her. All she does is complain about stuff or praise different family members. She's never invited me over but expected to be invited over all the time when I have company, same with my mother-in-law. It blows my mind how everyone tries to tiptoe around her to keep the peace. The only one that doesn't do that is her youngest. She has 3 kids, oldest is the word of God to her, middle is the golden child, youngest is the black sheep. The oldest lives far away, has nothing to do with her, and I can't blame him for everything she's done to him because he disobeys her. But she will hang on to every word he says, since he's the boy. Middle child is her favorite person. She does a lot for her, spends the most time with her. She's so understanding about her situation, her medical problems, etc. Youngest, she gets treated like dirt. She has a million medical problems that have long gotten worse from COVID. She's immunocompromised, but she treats her as her scapegoat, gaslights her. She's the only one to call her out, and when she does, Grandma didn't do that or says that. And if the convo really doesn't go great Grandma's way, she started to say she won't be here tomorrow. That's her ultimate weapon. Not that she would do it. I don't like being around her. My parents are narcissists, so I'm no contact with them, and being around her is like being around them. I get why everyone enables her. She's old, she won't be here long, but boy, she might outlive us all just for the spite. Yeah, entitled grandma. I can go on forever, but those are the main ones that drive me nuts. What's really even the perk of bowing down to somebody like that? Especially in OP's position, is there even a point? I guess probably OP's kind of removed, especially just being an in-law. But like, what is entitled granny actually going to do, chase you around? I mean, it's just so sad that if things really aren't going their way, they just start going to, well, I just won't be here tomorrow. Snoo Words 4839 wrote, no reason you need to bow down to her. Do not offer to do anything for her. OP responded saying, never have, never will. She came late to my baby shower because her daughter who lives 25 minutes away was running late. She lives a 2-minute walk where the baby shower was being held. 2 minutes. She couldn't even have driven over in her own car, but she wanted someone to pick her up and drive her over. She was ticked how late she was and how she missed the arrival of everyone coming. Didn't spend time with the main family when we were setting up. She was in the corner far from the family having a sulking moment. Oh, she even yelled at my toddler for opening my presents. I honestly didn't even care. I was too fat and tired at that point, but she was mad that she was doing that. Meh. Our next story is, Mom can't stop taking my money. I, 20-year-old female, need to vent about my mom's behavior and I'm feeling really lost. I've lived with her my whole life, while my dad works in another city and rarely visits. They're technically still together, but just prefer separate lives. Growing up, Mom would constantly tell Dad I was a big spender, using up all our money on food and things. Here's the thing, we weren't poor, and she's a stay-at-home mom. Yet she would pressure me to lie to him, saying I needed school money, money she would then keep for herself. This went on for years, even causing Dad to talk down to me about spending habits. Recently, I landed a high-paying job that allows me to improve my lifestyle. Mom, of course, found out and pressured me to pay my own tuition while still asking Dad for money she'd pocket. I naively thought I could finally give back by offering them both money as a thank you. Big mistake. The moment Dad received some money from me, Mom flat out lied and said she hadn't gotten anything. This made Dad think I was prioritizing him wrong, and he even threatened to give all his money to Mom. That's when I start to feel really angry. Her lies are making me look bad. I also wanted to help renovate the house for their retirement. I figure I could save enough within 7 months for a complete makeover, but even on my first paycheck, Mom insisted I stop saving and enjoy my money. I knew that starting to spend would break the saving cycle. She wouldn't listen, borrowing and pressuring me until I had nothing left. This borrowing has become a constant issue. It's impossible to track how much she owes me. Recently, when I refused to give her more because I needed to wait for payday and I needed to save what I have left to make it last, she flipped out. She demanded access to my bank app and requested a state of account to know where all my money went. She was so furious that I was spending things on whatever I want, even though she's the one who told me to enjoy my money. By the way, she took my last money. I just feel like I'm trapped in this cycle of manipulation and financial control. I desperately want to move out and have my own place and freedom as soon as possible. I actually don't understand how OP is allowing their mom to have so much control over them. Why at this point give them access to your bank account? Why at this point allow them to take that money from you? Because surely for them to take that money out of OP's bank account, OP would have had to have authorized that, right? OP needs to put a boundary up, and soon. Bung Crosby wrote, "Absolutely do not give this woman access to your bank accounts. If I were you, I would change banks without telling her. Get new accounts at a different bank and tell them under no circumstances should they give anyone access to your accounts. Have your statements routed to a private mailbox so your mom can't get a hold of them. You may have to cut them both off. Don't give either of them any money. Seriously, let them figure it out themselves. If necessary, block them from calling or texting." But with that being said, that's all the time we have for today. Now, if you want to hear another crazy entitled parent story, check out that video on the left. Or if you missed my latest video, check out that video on the right. That said, I'll see you all next time with some more stories.